and we're going to go on a virtual tour around Bradford and some parts of West Yorkshire to discover some of the opportunities, activities and events that would appeal to somebody who maybe has an interest in video games, might be thinking about studying things in video games, and I've got some options that you can try from today, or somebody that might even be thinking about going to work in the video games industry. So the aim of this tour is just to give you a taster for what's out there, to whet your appetite. So you might think, oh, I didn't know that existed. Or you might say, oh, yeah, I've been there. Oh, it's wonderful. And if you do this on a Tuesday or a Thursday, so please interact in the chat. It helps me feel like I'm not here on my own. Now, I'm going to be including some videos. So I was amazed at how many people are in the area working in the video games, independent studios in and around Bradford, and they couldn't all join me today. So I've recorded some interviews with them. Each interview is about 20 minutes long. We won't have time to watch all of those today. So I've picked out a few highlights, and then afterwards, if you want, you can go and watch those videos. You could, if you wanted, leave me now and go and find them. So if I tell you it's EXA Foundation, we have a YouTube channel. And if you go on there, you'll see there's a playlist and it's called Bradford Tech Week. And you'll see all of the interviews are in there. Now, I just need to mention COVID. So if you're watching this like live, you'll know that COVID is a thing. And as a result of that, it's presented some challenges. And we've had a long period of self-isolation, social distances, and businesses and organizations, they've had to review and change their admissions policy. So some of the things I'm going to mention today, if you went to visit them today, it would be a good idea to check on the website to make sure that they're open and everything, because who knows, with all the government advice, things are changing all the time. I'm going to mention a lot of things that are available online 24/7, but it's a good idea to check ahead so that you don't get disappointed. Now, as you can see, we're starting our tour, you could say in the very center of Bradford. We're at Centenary Square. And not far from here, if you can get to Centenary Square, are lots of great places to go and visit. In fact, just over there in the distance, you can see the Media Museum, and that's going to be our first destination. So I'm going to head over there, and you can probably guess, if you don't know, and you could type in the chat, what's going to be at the Media Museum. If we went there today, what are we likely to find? And I'm going to load up a video, which is only 20 seconds, but it's enough to give you a taste. So at the moment, nobody's typing anything in the chat, but if you could, and we're going to head over there. And I'm going to play this full screen on my computer. And fingers crossed, you should hear a little bit of audio and some video. And we start. Oh, and the audio is off. Okay, so I'm going to ask some questions. Where are we? Why are we there? What might you expect to find? Why would anybody with any interest in video games go there? Some people are like, oh, it's all like stuff from the past. It's in a museum. But they might be wrong if they've not been there. So it gives you an opportunity to travel back in time to see how video games were first developed. So it's called the Games Lounge. That video is only a few seconds long. But if I pause the video, so you probably know, so I'm not a very slick video jockey, but what I can do is I can show you, I have a photo album as well, and we just have a look at a few of the photos. So there are some things in glass cases that you can't necessarily touch. You can just look at and pose in front of them. So lots of people do that. You can see me there with a group of friends. And within this wall, you'll see lots of vintage video consoles. But what's really, really nice about this, so it's called Games Lounge, is you can actually go and play some of these games. There's the coin-op sort of machines. And at the moment, if you book, all of the games are free, but I think you pay £2 to go in and visit for about an hour or something. £2 for an hour? That sounds like amazing value. And you'll see things like Space Invaders and Galaxians, and there's all of those kinds. You can hammer the buttons and, you know, try and do all those things that people used to do years and years ago. There are also from the 1980s. So in the 1980s, I myself was about 11 years old, and it was like the thing to have an Atari console or a Sinclair Spectrum or a Commodore 64. And you can actually try and play some of those games on there. And they're there for you to play and try all of them, even at the moment when we have COVID. And you can get close-ups, you can take photographs of these things should you choose to do so. Now, the other thing I really like about this particular location that we're in, the Games Lounge at the Media Museum, is you can see things on the wall about like when was Pac-Man first developed and Space Invaders, and what kind of inspirations, what influenced the games designers. And there's some videos that play. You can find out a little bit about how, and a lot of these were developed originally by people who were just 14 or 15. And there was this whole craze that just took over. And it seems to still be going in Bradford. So I would totally recommend to go and visit. And there is a site that you can, if I see, oh yeah, you can go. I'll share a link to this later on, but if you have a search engine, you could just search for Games Lounge Bradford. And it tells you, yeah, it's £2. It's open from 10 till 4. And 7 days a week you can go there, but you do just need to check and book your admission in advance at the moment. And it tells you all about it and how to book tickets. Now, while we're there at the Media Museum, there's something else I want to show you. By the way, it would be useful if somebody just said yes, they could see the video, because I can't see what you're seeing. So some feedback would be useful. Great. Okay. Now, there's something quite amazing, quite astounding that happens at the Media Museum in spring every year that's connected to video games. And when I tell people about this, they are amazed that this thing happens in Bradford. Now, if you know what it is I'm talking about, you could go now into the chat box and you could say, I know what it is. You could tell us. I'll give you a clue. 3 letters, YGF, and the F stands for festival. So as you're thinking about what it might be, I've got a little video that I'm going to play. Oh, what I have to do is I have a playlist. So I'll have to go to my playlist to find it. Nope, it's not in the playlist. I'll have to load up. I have a link to the video. So give me a moment while I go and find this video and see if I can open that in a new tab. So this bit will be a bit clunky in the tour, but you can always go and look at these yourself. And if I can play this full screen. So this is like a highlight, and this is, and then watch. And play.
Hi, we are at the Yorkshire Games Festival in Bradford at the National Science and Media Museum. We are running a fun tournament in Rocket League just here in Pitcherville Cinema. So we're having about 16 teams fight out in a knockout tournament to find out who's the best at Rocket League in the area. We're here to promote the British Esports Championships, the Esports Association, and what we do in different schools and colleges across the UK.
Play it to the side, can still do a good cross. There's no trying to stop it, but no one can get there. Someone needs to clear it, then that'll take some responsibility. I'll take them in. I have a huge round of applause for both teams. They're both been fantastic.
Well done, team table for being our finalists and joining the fun tournament.
My thoughts have been it's been really cool, like coming here to play on the sports tournament, and yeah, it's just fun.
I definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah?
Enjoyed winning.
Of course.
Enjoyed getting 12-0. And overall, it was good and fun.
Yeah, is this something that you'd look to do again? If there's more tournaments, would you look to...
Definitely, yeah. I think he's really got a taste for it now, and I think I have as well. So I think we'll be looking out for any upcoming tournaments. Yeah.
Did you manage to play any games last year?
No, I didn't. No. I mean, obviously he's learned from the master, but I didn't manage to get on there and play with him. But maybe next time.
Okay, so I'm pausing the video there just before the end. So that video is highlights of British esports at the Yorkshire Games Festival. Now, British esports were only one of lots and lots of organizations there. And not many people realize that one of the major events in the games industry calendar happens here in Bradford every year. And I've been talking to some of the people who organize the festival every year, and they said there are still plans, no matter whether we have COVID or whatever's happening, the festival will still be going ahead, but it's just not certain at the moment exactly what. It usually lasts around a couple of weeks or so, so it's very close to the February half term. So if you're at a school, it may be that your school is able to organize a school trip to go there. So when I visited last year, I was invited along, and there was many other schools there during the schools week. And then during the half term week, that's like the families week. So I work for EXA Foundation in Bradford, and we hosted video games workshops. So we had families and young people coming in and all learning how to use tools like Scratch to develop concepts for video games. So it's definitely worth looking ahead. And, if you know that your family or friends or whatever are planning to do things around February next year, to bear in mind that there'll be things going on in the half-term holiday and possibly in the week before. And even, if you're a student, to mention it to your teacher, for your teacher to sign up and get updates in case there are opportunities for schools to go in. Now, just going back to esports for a moment. So some people are surprised when I say that there's ways of working in video games industry that doesn't actually involve making video games. It's just playing video games. Now, you'll probably know all about this. And while the Games Festival only takes place once a year for a few weeks, there are things in Bradford you can be doing all year round. So we're going to leave the Media Museum for a moment, and we're going to head to somewhere in Broadway. So Broadway, the shopping centre, or the shopping complex, the mall, that's in Bradford. Now, while I get the right tab loaded up on my screen, do you know why would somebody interested in video games be going to a shop in the shopping centre? So let me go and find the video that it is that I want to show you. And I've been there a few times myself. So let me load this link up in my browser. And it's in a playlist that I'm going to share with you later on. And I'll just pause it, go full screen. So here's the spoiler.
Good evening. We're at
So there's a store in the Broadway shopping centre that's called Game. And you can go there, you can buy console games, you can buy merch, you can, there's all those kind of things you can do while you're there. But what not many people know is at the back of the store, there's this very, very dark, dimly lit arena called Belong. And if you later on search for Belong Games Arena Bradford, you'll discover it's not just in Bradford, but these are all over the country. So there's one in Milton Keynes. I've been to one at Stratford in London. And they all have community nights. So you could go on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday evening, for example, and you could meet up with others, and they have all these different squads that compete with teams from all over. And they have every week. So they have things like Fortnite, they have Overwatch, League of Legends. I'm not really a gamer, but I know I've heard of these titles. Tekken, so you know, this the two-player Street Fighter combat kind of game, and there are people, and they spend the whole evening there. And the last time I went, I think you paid £10 for the full evening, which means you can also play games for a couple of hours. But it's not just that; it's the opportunity to talk to others who are working within this sector and to find out from them. Now, I went earlier in the year with some teachers who are friends of mine, and we just recorded a brief video. You don't have to worry too much about what we're talking about, but it'll give you a little bit of an idea about what it looks like inside. Along Bradford, it's in a game store. Look, games, but look this way. We've got some teachers here, and you might recognize the game that they're playing. Hello, what game are you playing? What is it? Can you hear me? Fortnite. Playing Fortnite. So it's a team, we're working as a team, we're all trying to pick materials and do things. We're just at the point where we're parachuting down in. What are you doing? Tell us what you're doing, Oliver. What's going on?
Playing.
Okay, no, I think I might have accidentally paused the video at that point, which I didn't mean to. But is it going to carry on playing? Never mind, don't worry about that, because you get the gist. So it looks a bit like a classroom you might see in a school, except it doesn't look anything like a classroom. So you've got all these high-powered PCs that are designed for gaming. So they've got upgraded memory, video cards, all these kind of things. They're all networked together, so you can play network games, as I mentioned, like Overwatch and Rocket League. And there are also consoles next to them as well. So if you, and I can't remember whether it's PlayStation or Xbox, but they've got all of those there. Now, some people have booked to have a party there or just to hang out with friends. So Monday to Friday, just during normal kind of shop opening times. So some people are on half term. So it could be that this week you just decide it is a bit more expensive, I think, if you go during the day, but it doesn't cost anything to go down there to talk to the staff in the shop. You could say, oh, I was talking to Alan and he suggested, oh, yeah, because they knew I was going to be talking about them today. And they'll show you around, they'll give you a tour. Or it could be if there's a private event on, they're like, no, sorry, we can't show you around today. But it's definitely worth, if you're in the area, walking past, just going in and finding out about this. So in other times I've been there, I've spoken to people from the ages of 11 and upwards, you know, people as old as I am, I'm nearly 50. And they're all part of these teams, and they go every Tuesday night, every Thursday night. And if you look online, you'll see that Belong Bradford has got their own YouTube channel, and they have like 2 or 3 hour long videos where you can watch them competing and playing against teams from other places. So if I just escape out of that for a moment, I can just show you there is a website that you can go and visit, and on the website they have photographs, so you can see people of all ages and backgrounds and different experience levels.
Oh, he's playing Fortnite.
More
detail, maybe.
So I can get rid of that now. The other thing to mention is it doesn't really matter too much what your skill level is. So if you'd watched a bit more of the video, you'd have been laughing a lot, because the teachers, some of us are gamers, I'm not, and we're like, oh, how do I make this happen? And oh, I can't, you know. So it really doesn't matter. It's just really nice fun. So we played the Battle Royale version, if I've said it right, of I probably said the wrong thing, Fortnite, and we were just getting annihilated by other people within seconds of joining. But it's all good fun, and it's a really, really nice place to go. And if you go on a community night, it doesn't cost an absolute fortune to go in there. Now, we're going to head back to the festival for a moment. So if I go back to my playlist, there's something on the playlist I want to play again. This is just a few moments. If I just go full screen. So I mentioned that during Yorkshire Games Festival, there's lots of events for schools. And on one of the days I was there, I went into the Pictureville Cinema, and there was hundreds of people from schools all over Bradford with their teachers. And this will just give you a little bit of a taste about what's going on. Now, I want you to try to imagine for a moment that you're there in the audience and see if you can figure out what's going on.
computing. We're going to have a quick look at that. We have this number calculator. Now, most of you are probably used to working either in ones, tens, or working in units, tens and hundreds. Does that make sense? And you write down, there's 200, you write 200, 2 in the 100 column, 0 in the tens in the units column. Now, computers, TJ, are they brainy?
They are.
But how high can they count?
To 1.
To 1. When they get to the number 1, they have to move along a column. They're working in base 2. We work in base 10. We go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's no more digits. 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All the way to 99. No more digits. 1, 0, 0. But they have to do that for every single time that they count up. So we have. So if we say 1 in decimal is 1 in binary. Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. But then we go 2. Suddenly, it's crazy. What's the computer doing? It's got 1, 0. What's it doing? It's saying that there are 1 lots of the value of 2 and no of the others. So, you type in any number. Give me a number. 65! Well, I did 65, so tough. Right. Okay, 65, it says that's 1 lot of 64.
Okay, apologies. I hadn't realized that the volume, the audio is quite low on that video clip. But if you've ever been in a computing lesson where you've been learning about a binary counting system, then that's what this gentleman is developing on, is explaining on stage. But he's trying to give the audience a little bit of an insight into some of the mechanics and the engineering that goes on behind video games. And before this tour started, I was having a conversation with some people about different programming languages, and we're talking about high level and low level, like C# and Python and JavaScript. They go into this a little bit more, but there's a point where it becomes really interactive and the audience have to shout to play a game and all this stuff. It gets really, really noisy. Now, the gentleman who's pointed at the screen is called Adam Syrup, and I was able to meet him a little bit early on, and I recorded the interview with him. So if I close this tab, we could go and find the video with Adam. Give me a moment to load this up. So the whole video is about 24 minutes long. We're just going to hear Adam explain who he is and what he does right at the beginning. And then we'll find out what he has to say. So, hello, Adam. Adam Syrup.
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay. Yep.
Now, Adam, I've been dying to come and chat with you for a little while. You won an award, BAFTA, a BAFTA award for the work that you've done around video games with opportunities for young people. You must be so proud of such an achievement.
Yeah, shocked, surprised, a little bit amused. Yeah, so BAFTA have they have the film, television, all the big stuff. They have games, because games are now sort of, the business of games is sort of getting bigger than film. But they also really want to develop young talent. So they have the Young Games Designer Awards and the Young Film Awards and the Young Television Awards. And so within the Young Games Designer Awards, there's actually an award for a mentor, people who inspire young people into game design. And so Impact Gamers won that award back in 2018. So yeah, very exciting.
So, okay, remember to unmute myself. So Adam and I talk. So Adam is actually originally from South Wales, and he'd heard that there was a great course on video games design at the university in Bradford. So he traveled up to Bradford when he was 18, and he's never left. And after he graduated from university, he set up an organization that's called Impact Gamers. And in the interview, I asked Adam to tell me a little bit more about what is the point of Impact Gamers. So let's hear a little bit more. The Mentor Award, you said Impact Gamers.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been to Impact Gamers. Somebody watching this, they may not have heard of it.
No.
Tell them, what is it? Is it for everybody?
Yeah, yeah, it is for everybody, but we work with young people. So we work from 7 to 18-year-olds. And what we do is we're there to inspire young people to be creative with computers, and we use game making for that. The game making is part of what we do, but the other thing is that we're there as a group so we're there as a sort of social entity. We're there to improve self-esteem. We're there to sort of grow their confidence in different things, but at the same time teaching them skills as well. We want them to go to Impact Gamers and make friends and make games at the same time.
So it's not just lots of people sat down all coding on their keyboards.
No. What I wanted it to be is I wanted it to be so like you have the football club for the sporty people, and they go and they build friendships, they build relationships, they sort of like they have some socials in there as well. I wanted that for the kids who just aren't sporty. I was so bad at sport, but there was no, there's a chess club, but there wasn't any middle ground. So there was this sort of like the people who are just not sporty but very I don't know what, just sort of like problem solving and stuff, but there wasn't anything, there wasn't any groups.
So stop, don't play this video. The dangers of using YouTube. So when I talked to Adam, he explained all about Impact Gamers, it's not just about teaching people how to create video games, that people play video games, try to understand why video games are created and what the attraction is and all of that. So Impact Gamers have a website, and you can go on the website and you can find out. And they actually still have quite a lot of learning materials on there. They have a newsletter you can sign up to. There's a contact page. They have a Facebook page. You can book to go along. But if you click on the Learning tab, you'll see that there's lots of links and videos that giving you kind of pointers. But the real good thing, if you're able to get along to one of the Impact Gamers, is the idea of mentoring. So I'm not sure if you know what it means to be mentored or to have a mentor, but at various points in life, some people try to teach themselves something. So like I once tried to teach myself how to play saxophone just from watching videos. And what I was really missing was a mentor. Somebody else say, oh, Alan, no, you're playing too loud, too soft. And the idea about a mentor is they can guide you towards certain things. So Adam and I, in the interview, we discuss the advantages in having a mentor. Now, I mentioned the Games Festival, Yorkshire Games Festival earlier, and that's why we were talking to Adam, because Adam was hosting some of the school events and the family events at the festival. And one of the attractions in going to a festival in any kind of endeavor is you just never know who you're going to bump into. So there are lots of people who represent, they work in the games industry. And at the festival, you might meet somebody from a company called Gaslight Games. Now, here's a question. Have you ever heard of Gaslight? There's a reason why you may not have heard of them. But I'm going to go and talk now to Mark. Now, Mark has a complicated surname to pronounce. I'll just call him Mark for now. And we go and talk to Mark briefly, and he'll tell us a little bit about who he is and what he does. And so, Mark, I'm going to try and pronounce your surname. It's like Mark Joftoshak?
Really close. Very, very close. Okay.
So, Mark, tell us, do you work in video games? Do you work for a company? What do you do? And where are you as well?
Yeah, so I'm the managing director on paper of Gaslight Games. We're a Bradford-based games development company. I'm also the lead programmer. We're a small studio, mostly doing a lot of outsourcing for other companies. So we've worked across indie, AA, AAA, all over the country, but most predominantly, especially these last sort of 6 months and 12 months, being in the West Yorkshire region. And sort of trying to keep things here and keep remote and to sort of certainly stay within this region because of what it's doing and growing as far as video games are concerned.
I'm amazed at just how many indie games companies there are in this region. There's Just Add Water, Fat Kraken, Red Kite, TT Games down the road, Cooperative Innovations. There seems to be quite a lot, would you say, or?
Yeah, definitely. If you go back, now we're going 20 odd years ago, there was Team 17 down in Wakefield, and then sort of before them, there were other studios all in the same kind of roughly in the same region, and it's been a constant boom we can attribute a large portion of it to the Screen Yorkshire and then offshoot Game Republic. And so those have certainly helped to drive what we've got and keep a lot of the talent inside of the Yorkshire region. That's certainly when I talk to many of the other indies. They've worked, like myself, we've worked all up and down the country, and we keep getting drawn back because the people are good, the talent's good, and the support is there.
And need to unmute myself. So Mark talks about how Bradford and West Yorkshire is an ideal environment for independent game studios, and that there are so many. There's a reason why perhaps you haven't heard of many of these independent studios, and Mark goes on to explain it's because a lot of the work, so when you hear the big name companies, the like Epic and some of the other companies, they actually outsource a lot of their development. So if they need somebody to develop characters, for example, there may be a company in Huddersfield that they might approach. If they need somebody to develop backgrounds or the complicated back-end sort of operations. So, and often these companies, their names don't appear on the titles or on the cover. It's only when you read the credits later on that you might see reference to them. So Mark, again, is another one of these people who's actually moved to West Yorkshire to pursue. He studied here, and he hasn't left the area. And I asked him in the video in our interview. It was so, Mark. You know, what if a young person wanted to go and work in video games or pursue opportunities? Where would be a good place to start? So let's hear what advice Mark has to offer. Like I said, I want to change career path. I want to do what you're doing. If I was maybe 20, 30 years younger and I came to you and said, Mark, where should I start? I can't at the moment go to college or university. Those options are not available. Are there any resources you'd recommend that people could learn from? Or
well, certainly one of the biggest things is to take a look at some of the technologies, so like I mentioned, like Unreal and Unity, and there are so many others. There are some that might be a little easier to begin with as well, to understand the flow. So there's one called Game Maker, which is fantastic. There's the Adventure Games Maker as well, and all these various ones. And so the first thing that I say to people is, if you want to make games, is to make games. That is rule number one. And whatever you're thinking, it needs to go smaller than that. No, it's not small enough. Even smaller than that, smaller, all the way down. Distill it to the absolute smallest piece you can and finish that piece. And not only will you get a tremendous satisfaction from finishing it, but if you try to build Fortnite out of the box when that's got 1,000 people at Epic, it's just not going to happen. And unfortunately, it's not going to. I wish we could have more of them. But if you start with Pong or start with Frogger or start with something, look to the 80s. We didn't have the hardware to do it, so we had to do it on make do with what we had. And think of something like that and just build a clone, build your own version, and now you've got an idea of how to do that thing and move forward. And right now there are so many great YouTube tutorials. There's lots of great forums and communities, but myself included. If you just reach out to games companies and ask some questions, it might take us a couple of days, but we will reply. I don't know of another studio, certainly in the region, that will just ignore an email.
So it was a real pleasure to talk to Mark, and Mark gave lots more advice in the video. We'll just come back and revisit some of that in a moment. But Mark said, if you reach out, so in total, I interviewed 5 people who work in video games, and I'd never actually met these 5 people before. It was all based on, I found their website, I found their social media channels, I sent them nice messages. I read a little bit of the background of the games that they developed and then sent them a nice message like, oh, I believe, you know. So there's another one we might visit later on called Tyler. He works for TT Games. So Tyler grew up in Ilkley and studied in Ilkley and now is telling me about how he works on building Lego games that TT release. And all of this you can just find out because people who work in the video games industry, particularly these independent companies, they're really, really happy to offer advice and give support. And like I mentioned, Adam, before of Impact Gamers, the mentoring. Now, Mark mentions 2 rules, and it's worth I think, reminding you, going back. What was the first rule that Mark said? He said, if you want to make games, and then he finished it off. And question number 2 was, he didn't say this is rule number 2, but it is the second rule. It was to do with the size. Yep, Rufus, well done. So Mark said, if you want to make games, make games. If whatever the thing is that you want to do that thing. And later on, he explains, he says, the more you do the thing, the better you become. And it's just like any new hobby or thing. If you want to achieve a certain level, the more you do it, the better you're going to become. But of course, having a mentor is key. And yes, Rufus, his second rule, he said, make small. I know this as being a teacher. So I've taught GCSE computer science, and I would have students who would come to me and they say, oh, I'm going to build it. And I was like, whoa, way too big. Make it smaller. And you really, really, really have to start small, even if it's just something like designing a character for a game. Oh, that's interesting. Talk about characters. So I got to meet a young lady called Naila Stayput. Doesn't sound like the kind of name that somebody born in Bradford or West Yorkshire might have. And she's another person. She grew up actually in the country of Belgium. She lives near Brussels. And when she was young, she traveled to Bradford to start working with a game studio. So if you just let me find a link to her video.
And, you know, again,
we're going to find out, how did Naila end up working in video games industry? So let me see if we can go to like 4 minutes and 36 seconds. Give it a moment to load this up. And you might hear Naila doesn't actually sound in her accent one way or other, like she's from. So I'm fascinated to know how you ended up on this journey, because some of the people watching this today will be 11, 12, 13. And I'm trying to imagine, what were you doing at 12, 13, 14, and did you make certain decisions then that if it influenced, you know, you on this journey?
Not really then. Like when I was that age, like 12 to 14, I was interested in computers, but like scripting more and making websites. And I was like, you know, like basic stuff like HTML, CSS kind of stuff. And I like pictures, and like I just made websites with lots of pictures basically. And so I wasn't really thinking of like games or doing 3D in general. Like that just seemed like something that was just like, I don't know, like not something I could do. Like it's a lot easier now, a lot more accessible. Back then it's just like websites, cool, yeah. So I did, because I'm from Belgium, so I did a bachelor's in Belgium, which was about making websites and web design, and it's what I ended up doing then. I became a web designer, and I worked for 2 years as a web designer, and then I thought, like, actually I'm not having fun anymore. Like this is not what I want to keep doing for the rest of for many years. So during my course, my bachelor course, we dabbled a little bit in 3D, and I actually thought, you know, this is kind of fun. Like maybe I want to do more of that, but I didn't know where to start. So I thought, like, I heard from someone about a master course in Bournemouth, in the UK, obviously, and it was more aimed at like 3D animation, but they taught us a bit about, you know, like modeling, texturing, like everything else to do with 3D. And I was like, okay, you know what, this is interesting. So I quit my job, and it was a master's as well, which is just the 1 year. So it just seemed ideal because I had a bachelor degree already. So yeah, I went to go and do 3D in the UK.
So Naila Stayput, interesting name. She didn't go directly into video games. As she explains, she went into other routes and eventually came back around to it. And she works now also for an independent games studio based in West Yorkshire, just outside Leeds. And the company that she works for, again, they do a lot of outsourcing, but it's all virtual reality games. And she was telling me all about how the future is going to look based all around virtual reality. Now, heading back into Bradford for a moment. So as I mentioned, so these are decisions that stop. These video interviews will all be available for you to watch afterwards. But I'm keen to highlight attractions and places you can go to visit as well. Now, when we started our tour, we were at Centenary Square. So if you visit Bradford often, you'll know all of the attractions that are around there. I wonder if you know where we might be headed now. So we're using Google Street View here, and we're heading up a street that you might recognize in the town. There's lots of old stone buildings. There's one up here that's got a bookshop inside it called Waterstones, which is just there on the right-hand side. And if we were to carry straight on down that street there, we'd end up at the Broadway. Oh, in fact, I think I need to go a little bit further down this street. So we're on Hustler Gate. Ah, and this is, I've got a little bit, oh, no, I was in the right place. So I've just walked past Waterstones. So Waterstones is just there. But this street here, Bank Street, now partway down Bank Street, there's something that's really cool. It's a bit of a, you know, if you're into geeky things like board, oh, Daniel, you've got it straight away. So it's Geek Retreat. Now, Geek Retreat has lots of things and activities and events. And I went there a little bit earlier, and I have a little tour that we're going to just watch for a moment. So forgive me, this is recorded earlier in the year when I had no idea that we were going to be doing a virtual video games tour. So it's about 2 minutes long. I'll probably just play little bits of the video, but just to give you an idea. And you'll hear my phone buzzing as I was videoing it as well. So we're just loading up. Hello, welcome to Geek Retreat Bradford. I don't know if you've been here before. I'm going to take you a little bit of a tour of the store. So we look outside and we can see just around the corner is Bradford Waterstones branch. It's just around there to the right, but we're inside the store. So we've got some lovely artwork here on the table from wall, on the wall, Dungeons and Dragons, Magic. There's a library of games, and if you're interested in computing or computer science, some of these games will be good titles for you. Things like Risk. Off by saying, you think I would be quite good at doing this? Walking Dead Survival. It's just unfortunate sometimes you click on the wrong thing. So as we go around the store, they have a collection of board games that anybody can play. It's free to go in, but they do expect that you would buy something to eat while you're visiting or a drink. And I don't know if you're interested in vegetarian or vegan, they have lots of those kind of options as well. Now, I've been talking about board games, but it's just over here where I need to go a little bit further past the till and then pick up the video again. And play. Card selection. And then this bit here, you can probably figure out without me having to tell you what might happen over here. Yeah, some more of that. And look, we've got a selection. We've got Switch, we've got SNES, Mega Drive, I think I saw Dreamcast, yep, PlayStation, Sega Mega Drive 16-bit, and you've got a selection of vintage titles. So Geek Retreat is a board game cafe. Like I said, I recorded this video earlier in the year before we had lockdown and social distance and all these kind of things. So I can't say if you went in there today, it would be exactly the same. They might have less tables and less chairs. They have a website. In fact, there's Geek Retreats in Leeds. There's some up in Scotland. Let me just show you the website so you can have a look. One moment. Oh, we had it loaded up. Here we are. So it says all their stores are open. If you click on the store finder, they have a Facebook page. There's the Glasgow one. If we scroll down, we can see we've got Leeds, Birmingham, Newcastle. So if you're ever traveling anywhere on holiday, you might think, oh, there's a Geek Retreat there, and you could go. They have their opening times on there. There's an email address. You can see that they're only at the moment open Mondays, Wednesdays, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They do have meetups as well, but you'd need to check because while we have social distancing in place, it may be that there's smaller numbers. But you'll have heard of games like Magic and Dungeons and Dragons. But those consoles that I showed you as well, you don't usually, social distance aside, you don't usually have to book. You just go in and you hope there's nobody else. So I think I recorded that on a Tuesday morning during school time. So that was really, really empty and quiet in there. Now, we are getting towards the end of our tour, and there was a couple of other things that I wanted to mention to you. So I haven't got time to play all of the interviews, all the discussions we had with people. I did meet a gentleman called Tim who, like me, has a teaching background. And let's hear what Tim has to say. So, Tim Blizzard. Is it Blizzard? Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's spelt in a different way. It's like Blizzard, and I bet you get people all the time saying. So there's a point where Tim talks about a gaming club community that you can join every month in Bradford. You may have heard of this thing already.
There's a huge pool of talent, and that's one way that people can get into it and learn from other people by looking at the college and the university as well.
So you work at the Innovation Centre in Little Germany. You host activities there, don't you? Like you mentioned the Games Festival, but isn't there something that you do at weekends as well?
Yeah, there's a Coda Dojo takes place there. So I mean, they've still got stuff online. It's worth having a look at what the Coda Dojo have got online at the minute as well. But yeah, we have monthly sessions where we get people that come down and do different projects. And the great thing about that is you get people from industry that come in and show everybody how they code. So it's beyond school. And you can see quite a lot of the purpose behind it and the reason why you're making these things as well. So yeah, so Coda Dojo is cool.
I think I've seen like on Twitter or on Facebook, people sharing images from there. And there was somebody was building a Minecraft server. Somebody else was doing mods. So, and it's quite a range of ages, isn't it? There's adults as well as young people there, and they're all, but I guess because it's on different times, different months, so I guess people would have to check the availability ahead and make sure that it was on. Okay, so they are just a small selection.
Yeah, you can find it on.
Just a small selection of the opportunities and events that exist within Bradford. Now, at the moment, it may be that some people are struggling to get out and travel. There's been talk on the news recently about travel restrictions and these kind of things. So I thought it would be important to mention some of the other things that you might be interested in. So I'm going to mention something that anybody can get for free. It's a magazine called Wireframe Magazine. So this magazine is published by Raspberry Pi. Now, if somebody asked you for a gift, what you would like, you could ask for a subscription to this magazine. But one of the best things about this magazine is you can actually watch or read it for free. So you can download the magazine. So if you go to the website, I'll just paste a link to it in the chat. You have links. So you can buy the magazine, you can subscribe, but even better, you can download it for free. And the magazine is now downloading on my computer. Let's open it up and have a look. So this is issue 43. You can go back and download all previous 42 issues. What might we see in the magazine? Well, there's tutorials, there's reviews, there's case studies, there's profiles of different people and what they've created. Now, the magazine is not targeted at a specific age group, but I can tell you that the Raspberry Pi Foundation, it's all about learning and sharing and supporting and developing each other. So you'll see reviews of existing games that have not yet been published. But later on in the magazine, you'll find tutorials all about things like environment design, character development, there's competitions. Look there, you get to win a Blu-ray copy of PlayStation games. So totally recommend that magazine to you, Wireframe Magazine. Now, there's also another organization I'm going to mention based in the UK. You could pronounce it as Yuki, So it's UKIE, so it stands for UK Interactive Entertainment. So it's actually an industry body. So some of the people that we interviewed who were video games designers, they may be members of UKI. Now, UKI have also student events that they host online. Let me just copy a link to that and put that in the chat for people who might be interested. And as well as the events, so events are obviously things that you can go to and attend. They have events that are coming up. There's an online games jam coming up in November. So I don't know if you've ever taken part in a games jam, but it's like a 2 or 3 day event where people all work together online. They collaborate and create different elements of games working together. You can see we've got an education week, which passed a couple of weeks ago. That was Unreal Engine. That was last week. There's things coming up. But it's, well, if you go on the student page, you'll see the student blogs. There's videos all from students who are now working in the UK Interactive Entertainment. And I'm finally going to mention just one more thing. So you may have heard there's an online learning platform called Future Learn. And you could just go to Future Learn and type in video games, but they have universities and individuals from all over the UK that have free online courses. Now, you will need to read the small print. You can join these courses for free. You will see in some places they say, oh, well, if you pay some money, you can get extra benefits. So this course, you can start this course at any time, and this is all about developing video game characters. Some of the course, if you do the maths, it says 2 weeks, 2 hours a week, so it's a 4-hour course. But the courses are really highly rated. It's self-study, so you can do these in the evening, at the weekend, at your own leisure. And it's not the only one. You'll find out that it links to lots of other courses. And Abertay, they're seen as a global leader in computer games education there up in Scotland. Now, there are lots of other courses as well in video games, but I wasn't going to highlight all of those today. I'm looking at the time. We've been running for about 55 minutes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and stop the recording. And then once I've done that, I'll tell you what's going to happen next.